Hello, Drunkduckers. This is Ozone Ocean, and with me is Baines and Tance. And welcome to the Quackcast.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello. Alright, theme music. Okay, so today we are talking about motivated reasoning, the Cultcast, that's the topic. What's the other one? Motivated reasoning, confirmation bias, Bullshido, all this stuff, and how it works with, literature and comics and movies and pop culture, but, the real world examples, of course, in order to make this more understandable. Okay, so that's what we're going to be chatting about. But first we have to introduce the featured comic, which this week was something quite featured. Do you guys remember? Do you guys read it?
No.
Oh, very bad of you. Well, it was called Jellic, the Starbook.
Oh.
Jellic, the Starbook. So, Quai, tell us about Jellic the Starbook.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Jellic and the Starbook by Amon Schreibt, and it is rated T for Teen. Professor Jellic Holland is a distinguished dragon with a specialization in cosmological sciences and magic at the Osheim South University. Dr. Holland is a family man, married to the beautifully blue Leanie, and father of 2 children, Jody and Doss, both speckled with freckles, and one all shades of ghoulish green. One evening, while checking the mail in his study, Dr. Holland receives a mysteriously peculiar letter that reads, "I may not be there to join you, but they will soon be watching you. Remain calm. You have no choice." The art is vibrant, with an excellent control of layered cell shading to bring out the depth of contrasting light sources in varying settings. The backgrounds are filled with details that may take multiple viewings to appreciate. Uncover the reason behind Dr. Holland's misplaced briefcase and read Jellic and the Starbook by Amon Schreibt, rated T.
That was quite a Quackcast talking about Jellic the Starbook. Okay, so now Gommels hasn't been able to give us a theme this week, so I'm going to pick another fave. And my fave for this week was Kershaw Brackets. So this music, it's a warm rush of frenetic activity, modern, bright, shiny, new, fun action happening, moving, going, bouncing, bubbling, hopping, motivation. So take it away, Gum Wallace, with Kershaw Brackets. That was the music. Thanks very much for that, Gum Wallace. Kershaw Brackets. And that was the reissue of this brilliant theme, one of my faves. Okay, so on Quackcast number 704, talking about, we're doing the Cultcast, which is based on the idea of motivated reasoning, confirmation bias, and, cultish beliefs, all this kind of thing. It ties in. And you might think, well, that's a bit abstract. That's not very Quackcasty. That's not very comic-y. But this massively influences the way we see pop culture. In that, so Baines would talk about the idea in our Patreon video, the idea of films, the way we all agree that certain films are really bad and certain films are really good and certain films are must-see. and even if you never see them, you act as if you've seen them, or when you do see them, you automatically have the same reaction, and that's a thing.
Yeah. And you have the power of the group think, and you see people saying the same exact things about all these old shows, and it can be hard to separate yourself from that and think well, wait, do I agree with that? It's an actual effort, I find, anyway, to do that, if something is talked about enough anyway.
And that has been documented in psychological experiments, that very famous experiment with the length of the line and the Confederates, when you have a person just one-on-one with the examiner, and they are shown a card with two lines, one taller than the other, and the participant is always going to say they are unequal, the lines. But then when you put the participants in a panel where supposedly everyone is the participant, but in reality everyone else except the participant is a Confederate, which means someone that is part of the experiment.
They're in on it, basically.
Yeah, they are in on it. And everyone says, like the same card, everyone says these are equal. All the lines are equal. Then you find that a shockingly high percentage of participants are going to agree, even though they can see that it is not equal.
Right.
On the flip side, it only takes one Confederate to disagree for that percentage to drop dramatically again. So, it really is a matter, and that's why you shouldn't be in social bubbles where everyone is saying the exact same thing and everyone is like, there is no dissenting opinion, because you train your brain to accept things without doing a fact check with reality, so to speak. And that goes for any kind of thing.
I mean, it's the old science versus religion thing and all that. Sorry, Bangs, you were...
Well, the phrase echo chamber. That's
exactly.
Your echo chamber, if you're staying in the same group. That's a very good point.
Echo chamber. Echo chamber. I've got to write that down in my expanding description of the title. The echo chamber.
Yeah. The echo chambers are extremely dangerous because they are not stagnant or static. They radicalize whatever premise they become echo chambers on. So you might start from, for example, let's take something like vaccinations. So they might start from, this vaccine may not be as tested as it should be, and then it devolves into all vaccines are bad, or vaccines cause autism, or all of that, and then it will devolve even further. No medication is good for you. So, all natural, and go to the chiropractor and bleep doctors, and all of that. So that is the same echo chamber, but it becomes more and more radical,
extreme,
and extreme in the idea that it nurtures and sort of hatches, let's say.
I mean, we have that in the Quackcast, in that we're all Gen Xers, so we have the same opinion on Star Wars. So we go, yes, it's the original series, it's good, and all the others are shit. So we're Gen Xers, then we have to think that way. That's how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
However, we are divided on things. Boba Fett. We have there are lines.
Are we divided on Boba Fett? I mean,
yeah, we have Boba Fett appreciators and Boba Fett dislikers.
Oh, really? I forgot.
Tamura Morrison Boba Fett's not my thing. I like the original.
Mine either. And also the fact that he's a clone, the same clone as all the stormtroopers, that really should have killed the character completely. But, it's a cool suit.
I mean, he was cool because he was different, and then they made him the same. So.
And now he's cookie cutter. Oh,
exactly, just with a cooler suit. But anyway, this is not about Star Wars.
Everything's about
Star Wars.
Well, that's true.
This is the cult. This is the confirmation bias, the motivated reasoning. We are part of it. Yeah, that's the other thing that I was going to bring up. That like, you're not ever immune to this stuff. You're never on the outside. You're never able to go, oh yeah, those cultish people, those idiots, those conspiracy believers, ha ha ha. We're all it's possible for any of us to fall into this stuff at any time. And we probably are victims of it in various ways. So
yeah, and the best guard that you can have to that sort of thing is just be aware that you have biases just like every other person, and just periodically check yourself, like, am I actually being reasonable, and have I taken in the opposing, like the dissenting opinion? What is it saying? Like, is there any basis that if I had to defend the dissenting opinion, how would I do? And that's where debating helps a lot, because they train you to be able to defend both sides, and you can then tell which side is using bullshit arguments.
Yeah, and understanding logical fallacies and thinking,
yeah,
and realizing, okay, I'm actually just using a logical fallacy to support my idea, so that's why I'm supporting it. Yeah, but yeah, one of the reasons I came up with this topic was Bullshido, which is. I talked about this in a Patreon video. So it's when you have martial arts that are based on a stupid idea. So, I mean, martial arts is a broad topic for everything. So any sword fighting, any of that kind of stuff is martial arts. But what we all automatically think of martial arts is the unarmed stuff from Japan and China mainly. And that's what we think of as martial arts. And they have Bullshido proponents of this, where, you see like karate masters and jiu-jitsu masters, aikido masters. Various ones will have kind of almost like cult-like status in their dojos, and they will, on a lower scale, they'll show like examples of, if you become like a 3-dan black belt, you can split these rocks or split this wood. Stuff like that. Whereas really that's just a parlor trick. Anyone can do this. You don't need mastery of martial arts to do this, or be able to channel chi, any of that kind of stuff. It's a common trick in order to show your superiority. But on the more extreme examples, you see videos of these people, like just the master will just be walking through the middle of the dojo, and these students will come up and try and attack him, and it'll just fling them off by just touching them or just grazing them, or just lightly grabbing them. These people will collapse in absolute terror and pain and agony, or be thrown through the air with just a glance. And it's because they believe that this person is actually affecting them, and they've seen other students react this way, so they believe that they
that's a
fit in. What's that?
Sense. Sublimation. Yeah, yourself. You prepare yourself to have to experience the impact that you are expecting.
You believe that's happening to you, so that you act as if this thing happening. You believe it, but that the way this relates to comics and stuff is because that's the origin of the anime stuff, where you have these masters who could punch through walls and fly into the air with all their amazing moves and all that kind of stuff, and fling people off without even doing stuff, and channel their energy and all this. That all comes from that Bullshido, because it's not only these students who believe it, this has become in general culture that we believe in chi, and we believe in silly kind of channelings of energy, and we believe, he can punch through bricks because of his power and his ability of being a martial artist. And so that it's been sort of the origin of, like, we see that in movies, the kung fu, classic kung fu movies, and that become mainstream, and that like us as comic artists, we draw this kind of stuff, and it all comes from that kind of origin. So I think that's an interesting origin for that, Because
it's a type of magic, I guess, in a sense. And I will just say, like, I don't remember if I said that on air or before when we were chatting, that as a person that I studied Taekwondo and reached up to like almost to dance. I almost, I never sat the examination for that. So we were lucky enough to have this Korean guy master who was actually like the third best Korean Taekwondo master in all of Korea and all of the Taekwondo community, let's put it that way. And he had a nickname and everything, like because he was well renowned for being extremely fast with his left foot, which is a devastating thing. It might sound like a silly thing, but it really isn't. And he was not the greatest person, but what he was really good at was instructing Taekwondo and making you really tough and sparring properly and all of that. So he taught you to be extremely economical, to be very cynical levels of down to earth, and use short, no use high kick, that sort of thing. In the sense that you learn the high kicks, but he taught you not to be a flashy, let me do a flying spin high kick because it's the cool looking thing, and then you're gonna lose because the other guy is like half a meter taller than you and will just drop kick you. So the idea was that a true martial artist is going to be very aware of the actual laws of nature and teach you to respect those. And the only thing that goes near and not even brushes, chi and being, mindful and all that, is that you have to be extremely concentrated in everything you do. And that's the only thing there is to it. Which is easier said than done sometimes. So what I'm saying is that when you have had the real thing, that kind of bullshido will not wash. That's what I'm saying. Except if you are in an anime, then everything is real. There is real chi. You can create air vacuums with your sword. You can spin 5-6 meters into the air and stay there waiting for someone to look up and notice you up there. All of that.
I love it when they do the cut. That is so amazing that they just flick their sword and people get cut 10 meters away. Everything, walls get cut and buildings. Everything gets cut. The power of the cut.
Yeah, and I personally, I love it. I love it, especially because I have always been a Kenshin fan, like Rurouni Kenshin, where they take this to the extreme. Like it's like you have these monstrous adversaries that Kenshin beats eventually with superpowers, basically. Just because they wield the sword, and with this sword, the sword does a chemical reaction and explodes. And then the other sword is like there is this technique where it creates a phantom sword that cuts through and cannot be parried. I love it. It's Bullshido magic sort of thing.
Bullshido magic, yeah.
Yeah, but I love it. Not for real life though.
Jesus, Bullshido magic. That needs to be a film. Bullshido magic, starring Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah. Like I remember, one film I really liked was and I always have this. I like the idea of characters like that. Blind Fury, Nick Fury. I don't know, not Nick Fury. Blind Fury. starring Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
where he played this Vietnam veteran that got stuck somewhere in Vietnam or whatever in the jungle, and he got blinded by some kind of explosion or whatever, and he learned to wield a sword while blind, and then he returns and he's this blind sort of Zatoichi kind of guy, but with a very American spin, and it's the best thing ever. I love it. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember us being excited about it because it's, as comic book fans at the time, like it's like, oh, he's basically Daredevil. Daredevil didn't use a sword, but
Yeah. And honestly, he played the blindness really well. I mean, you were convinced that he couldn't see. So
it was really good, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, and I've seen all the Rutger Hauer's shitty films.
Oh my God, that is a film to watch with friends and pizza. That's a kind of film.
I love those films.
Yeah.
Fun, I remember, yeah.
Rutger Hauer, after Blade Runner, he just did so much shit.
Yeah, I don't know the other ones, but that one was awesome. Like A tier, S tier.
As was The Hitcher. I don't know if you guys know The Hitcher.
Which one is that?
Oh, he plays a psychotic hitchhiker. Worth a look. Oh yeah, a lot of fun. Not realistic at all either, but a great.
Yeah, but you're not going for realism, and that's the thing. The thing I notice, and it is very alarming, at least outside looking in, is that there is a tendency to conflate fiction with reality, to the point that it does interfere with lives of people. And what I'm talking about is, like, for example, in Korean show business, they have this thing where you have fans that are rabid. They hound their Korean superstars, like the actresses and the actors and stuff, and for the slightest thing they can ruin entire careers. And one of the things that happens is that they see, for example, a couple in a movie, in a series, which is they have really good chemistry together. The series is really nice. And then they have to see these two actors get hitched in real life. It's insane. It's like, no, you have to be together. And if they dare date someone else, it's hell.
Oh my God, you're cheating on her. How could you do this?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just that you have like some idiots crying about it on Twitter. They literally could lose their entire careers over this.
Well, it's a motivated reasoning again, because we're thinking, reality should match fiction because we saw the fiction and we believe in the fiction. Yeah. And if it diverts from that, then there's something wrong.
Exactly. Like there was this poor guy that is an excellent actor. I am really bad with Korean names. I cannot remember them, but I could look that up. And he has played in a lot of K-dramas, very manly roles, A roles. All right. So, but there was this one K-drama where he played a gay lead. So it was a romance between two guys, and it was an extreme success, a huge hit. So all the BL fans subscribed to his fan club or whatever. And when the poor guy announced that his wife is having a baby, they harped on him like, "For you betrayed the LGBTQ community and all of that." It's like,
wow,
he is an actor. He's an actor. He played it extremely well, but he wasn't gay. He never claimed to be gay. And he had to issue an apology saying, I'm sorry, stuff like, it's insane.
I'm sorry, my wife is having a baby. I didn't mean to betray you like that.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with LGBTQ communities. These are rabid K-drama fans. It's a very specific category that overlaps other populations, and it is also a problem in China as well, and stuff like that. But that comes into what we're discussing, that they want to believe something, and they will actively fight anything that disturbs their little fantasy there, that they want to make into, like, to manifest into reality.
That's frightening. That's like scary.
Well, confirmation bias, motivated reasoning, it affects everything. We talked about the fact that this is the reason why we think Stradivarius are the best violins ever, Stratocasters, Telecasters made by, or whatever, Les Paul guitars. They must be the greatest sounding instruments ever to have been created.
Quackcasters.
What's that? Quackcasters. Yes, well that's like a 6-necked flying right. V kind of awesomeness.
I agree.
You got to get a Quackcaster. Oh my god. So I'll play the music of the gods, that thing.
No, man.
But, but you hear these things. I mean, that must be, oh my god, the technology can't be matched. And you think, oh, come on. Well, we've things have moved on. We have to be able to match the technology, really, you'd think. Oh, no, the artistry of the original Les Paul, that's the greatest thing. That's why these guitars are worth so much money, and you've got to get a proper antique one, and nothing else can sound as good. And, that's the
I don't know.
Behind it.
I defer to actual musicians for this because I don't know. I'm not. That's
another issue, because we defer. We think, oh, this person must be the expert, so I'll trust in them, and that is good in some respects. But then you have the logical fallacy, which is what is it? Something like voice of authority or something like that, where you So there is, you have to trust someone who knows, basically, but you shouldn't do that unthinkingly. So you should have
we should do a comic where, like, a regular loser just starts carrying a clipboard, and then they're able to convince people to do whatever they want.
And it will be a slice of life comic, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be real life. It's what you touch on there, Oz, is super interesting, because it's like, it's obviously fine and a good thing to have preferences. It's a good thing and a fine thing to have shared opinions, and it's a good thing to listen to experts, to learn something and understand something you don't understand. So all of that stuff is kind of, it's our human nature in a way, or it's a natural thing, and it can be a positive, but so it's not like, oh, don't listen to anyone, don't listen to experts, don't have a shared opinion because now you're in a cult or something like that.
No,
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I hear what you mean, and the thing is, and that's it's a different thing to accept something just because one expert has said it, or two or three, and it's a different thing to look for the common consensus of experts, and also look for the dissenting opinion of experts again. So people that have the credentials to talk about the subject will be telling you certain things. And chances are, unless it is something that is extremely well documented, there is like 100% consensus. The Earth is round, for example, is 100% consensus among experts.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But it's not 100% consensus among pseudoscientists and idiots. I'm sorry.
I mean, having said that, it was the common consensus that the sun revolved around the Earth at a given time.
It really wasn't, though.
In my family, it was, but.
Well, I think it wasn't that the Earth was flat. That was never a consensus. But yeah, like Bane said, that the Earth was the center. Because that was, we believed, because, we are the center and we are created by Christ and all this kind of stuff. So we must be the center of the universe and all that kind of stuff. So that was...
The secret to this, and the wondrous element of science, if you are a true scientist, is that you will go with the common consensus while always keeping in the back of your mind that this consensus not only may change, will change the more we learn new things about specific elements. Mm-hmm. So the idea is, sorry, I'm looking for words right now. The idea is that, with the data we have now, this is the common consensus. But when you get new data, you are not only obliged, you are required to factor this new data in and change this common consensus. And for like a big element is, oh my God, I forget the name of the doctor that told doctors that you should wash your hands.
I was thinking the same thing. Yes, that's the other one I was thinking of. I don't remember the name offhand either.
I'll look it up because it's a tough name, and the poor guy ended up like in a mental institution. Well, and the point isn't just that he said that he had the scientific evidence, the proof that washing your hands saved lives. And the reason the rest of the medical community didn't take him into account at the time was that, oh no, you are calling doctors dirty, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. And the problem with that is, why was that dissenting opinion good? And for example, the dissenting opinion that vaccines cause autism isn't. Because this dude's dissenting opinion, wash your hands, had replicated constant verification by experimental data. Mm-hmm. So you had to take that into account. You are obliged by science to do it. The vaccines cause autism doesn't.
Yeah, and it not only experimental and it's replicable, but it changed the consensus among everybody eventually because it was repeatable and it reflected reality, whereas the autism stuff didn't change any expert's opinion, and in fact it had to get retracted, and it was embarrassing, and it destroyed this idiot's career because I wouldn't say he's an idiot. Wakefield, he was basically he did it. He created this fake study in order to promote his own vaccine that he created. And so that was the motivation. But when that whole thing failed and, people realized, that the study is full of crap, and then he started to be popular with his vaccine causes autism myth. He changed tack and he went on and started, building up that mythology and being the center of that. So he was just a con man, basically. Very motivated to be part of a cult, really.
Exactly, and that's a difference. That's a difference because one has raw, indisputable data, and the guy's name is Ignaz Semmelweis, Hungarian guy. Yeah. The other has nothing. And that's why you should learn the scientific method and live by it. Has nothing to do with your beliefs, has nothing to do with anything else. It is your compass to not end up in a cult.
Yeah, okay, that's the thing with science. It's not a belief system. It's a practice of confirming stuff based on rules and things like that. That's what it is based on. So testing.
Exactly. Test, theorize, test, be ready to confirm or reject the null hypothesis and move on. And that is the thing. And why am I saying that it has nothing to do with your beliefs and stuff? Because people that are religious, I am a theist, and I am an observing Orthodox Christian. And I swear by the scientific method. There is no way you will make me not apply it to things. But I still have my beliefs, and that is a different thing. Sure. And when you can separate the two, you live a balanced life, and you feel okay with yourself. Calm is what I'm saying. Whereas when you don't, you end up having some kind of cognitive dissonance, and that is the root of problems. When you have cognitive dissonance.
Well, that's the thing. Being scientific doesn't mean you have to be scientific about every aspect of your freaking life.
Exactly.
And every single belief that you have about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You can apply it with discretion.
Exactly. And that will make you also a very tolerant person, in the sense that you don't need to be around people that think exactly the same as you, because you don't need to. Oh yeah, go on.
Okay, yeah. So that was one of the other topics, which was the bubbles and the echo chambers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, politics is the major thing there, cult beliefs as well. But we were also talking about people's opinions on pop culture. So our little bubble is that the original Star Wars is the best, and all the others are sort of crap. So that's our confirmation bias and our motivated reasoning. Yeah, so we're behind that, being our Gen X little group. But that applies in all sorts of ways. I mean, there's a huge belief behind the mainstream comics. So we've got Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and, I don't know, Captain America, The Flash, and all these things are good for a reason. And, oh God, Batman must be the best detective ever, and we all love Batman. I'm not really a Batman fan, personally.
It depends on who writes Batman. I mean, there have been stories where he's a good detective and others where he just, punches things. So
yes. But I love Batman from I grew up with the Batman TV series, Adam West and Burt Ward, and then Super Friends, and I loved that. Silver Age comics and that kind of stuff. When it went back to do the retro stuff with the Michael Keaton film, which is a great film, that really wasn't my Batman anymore. And now that is the Batman that everyone knows and everyone loves again. But that's never been my Batman. But everybody loves it.
Yeah. And that's another thing is, you will have different iterations. Now you have this emerging new interpretation of superheroes with Joker, and now I think there is a second movie where you get Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Gaga or something.
Yeah, and that is not going to be for everyone, clearly. But it is an interesting new version of this particular, premise of the superheroes. Personally, I'm fascinated by it because they go hard on the mental health elements. So I will be watching the second movie just to see how they do the whole. If they go with she was a psychologist, and then she sort of devolved into being a follower of the Joker. So I want to see how to do that.
Oh, there's so much motivated reasoning about Harley Quinn. So that character was originally created as part of the animated series of Batman, and as just a sidekick character, just a funny sidekick. Because you always had, back in the Silver Age Batman and the Adam West Batman, you always had the themed sidekicks. and that was the thing.
Yeah.
And she's sort of an evolution of that. She was. But then they gave her more and more they expanded upon her, and then she made the transition to the comics. And now suddenly Joker and her have this weird kind of relationship and a backstory, and she used to be a psychiatrist, and then she got abused and changed and got broken and became a supervillain character. Right?
If she was a psychiatrist and not a psychologist, makes sense.
Oh yeah. I always mix them up. But the thing is with her that they had this relationship, and initially everybody loved it. Oh my God, it's this weird sexual kind of tension between these two, and she loves him and he loves her, and he's in control and she's submitting, and oh my God, it's so sexy. And then people started thinking, oh no, this is unhealthy, this isn't good, this is abusive relationship, it's a toxic relationship. So that's
he's a villain.
Everyone's
he's a villain.
The thing is, everyone's belief was like, everyone was agreeing that was a good thing, but now everyone was believing that was a bad thing, and everyone was believing that she was abused, and now everyone's believing that she needs to stand alone. And that was again reflected in pop culture, because then they did it like in the movies. So in the original Suicide Squad, she sort of has this split, and then the second, the kind of reboot Suicide Squad, she has a split again, and then there was the Birds of Prey, where she was being all independent and stuff like that. But that was reflecting the cultural beliefs about how people thought the character should behave and should act.
I'm not opposed to that, honestly, because this is experimentation with a character and you explore things. What I would be opposed is for the demand, quote unquote, for a villain to actually be able to nurture a healthy relationship with someone they look upon as inferior to them. Because I don't think Joker and Harley Quinn, at least what the experience I have of them, qualify as a power couple. They are not actually a power couple, because a power couple is on equal terms a lot, and they clearly are not. So yeah, you will see toxic relationship patterns because he's a villain and she is also a villain, and that's what happens.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's meant to be that way. Yeah, it should be that way. But it is interesting that the interesting fact to me isn't the relationship, it's the fact that it's so much of agreement about how people think about them and how much it changed.
Yeah. The whole, the groupthink thing is definitely an offshoot of clustering with your own, quote unquote, and feeding into each other's position without having tolerance for the positions of others. And I do need, I think, to make an exception here, because there are certain ideas where you have to be intolerant. So
oh, of course,
yeah,
stuff that goes beyond societal norms, which is another kind of group think, but it can be a positive thing. You know, like we agree that murder is bad and being immoral to other people and taking advantage of the poor, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So there is a threshold, let's say, where you should not entertain the differing opinion in certain ideas if you are going to have a minimally healthy society.
We're not all going to suddenly agree that theft is good and pedophilia, all that kind of stuff. We're going to decide that that's bad. That's just how it is.
And that is another thing. Like, for example, you have so many people trying to argue, like, or excuse the ancient Greek relationship between, teenagers and adults, whether male or female. Like, it was their time. No, it was still bad back then. It's just that their perception of what was happening was different, but that doesn't mean that it was not traumatic for the teen at the time. The fact that it was institutionalized doesn't make it okay because it was ancient times. The thing is that we must understand that they could not perceive that because their outlook was different. So there has to be like a nuance in these things. Yes, it was a bad thing. They could not understand it because this is how they looked at things. So you cannot say that they were a society of perverts, but that was, because for them this was mainstream. But this mainstream was wrong. The same thing that the mainstream slavery thing was wrong. But you cannot say, I don't know if I'm getting this across sufficiently, but the idea is that you can evaluate past societies with your more evolved, hopefully, like moral measures. But
okay. We're not going to be morally relativist, that's what you're saying. Moral relativism is not the thing.
Okay, how do you mean that? Because I'm not sure what moral relativism is.
That means that whatever the group thinks is morally right is right for that group. And
exactly,
we must accept that.
Exactly, yes. We're not going to be, I'm going to take the term, we're not going to be morally relativist, but at the same time, we have to understand that when you are within this group, you have certain experiences that will not be shared by whoever studies the society right now. So, that sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah. All kinds of nuance. Nuance
is a thing. You have to have nuance. You cannot be monolithic.
Yeah, it's true.
Cannot be. All right. Okay. Then there's the political stuff. I mean, that's what we have to make a comment about that.
Yeah.
The fact that my side is right and your side is wrong because this is what we believe.
I don't think people would. I don't think people would do that.
No,
never
done that ever.
It wouldn't.
Not ever in history has it ever been done.
Yeah, one of the saddest examples.
You commie bastard, Baines.
One of the saddest examples I can think of like groupthink and confirmation bias and motivational reasoning and all of that, except the easy go-to that is, Trump cult. I'm going to use an example from Greece. In the 80s, the Communist Party was very much in adoration mode in Greece for anything the Soviet Union would be doing at the time. And I'm talking the 80s now. So we are past the hardcore Stalinist stuff. We are into perestroika territory, where and things that were cracks were starting to show in their political pyramid and all of that. So they would say the perestroika is the best thing that happened to the Soviet Union, and then I don't remember the other one term that happened at the time.
Glasnost.
What was that?
Glasnost.
Yes, even better. This is fantastic. We love it. And then the Soviet Union collapsed.
Yeah.
And after the fact, the Greek Communist Party started saying that Gorbachev was the worst thing to happen to the Soviet Union. You don't say, "Oh my God!" And the thing is that they would not listen to anyone saying that this is bullshit. They are doing stupid things. They have a ton of corruption. They have strayed a lot from, what the communism is supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. They would not listen to any of that. It was total cultist behavior. Like, if the Soviet Union does it, is immediately sanctified. We never evaluate it. We never scrutinize it. You just take it, whole hog. And and that was sad. That was sad, especially for communists. You're not supposed to be that way.
In the West, we have the same thing with. You were in the West, but you had.
No, we are right in the middle, and we have the worst of everything.
But we always had the same thing with America too. Being the leader of the free world, so to speak. So that was always like, oh, if America does it, it's good in every single aspect. So we're behind you. One of the famous Australian comments from during the Vietnam War was all the way with LBJ. We were all part. No, this was the politician who was in charge at the time of Lyndon Baines Johnson, at the time of the Vietnam War and all that kind of stuff. Oh, God, I wasn't around then. This was before my time.
Yeah, and that's a good thing you mentioned it, because at the same time that the communists were going that way, the right wingers in Greece were saying, "America did it. We love it. Yes, bring it here, Mama." That sort of thing. So, it's not that only the communist Greeks were, being cultists. You had the right wingers Greeks also being cultists, but they just had different idols to go after, and that was the only thing. So
people's attitudes to politics is like that. If we think, if we say someone represents our political party that we're into, then people, ascribe all these rhetoricistic beliefs and statements to them and think, oh yes, they must support this and they must support that, and that's how they are, and they're the best things ever because they support the things that I support. And this person here who's off the party that I don't support, they must be totally evil. And everything they do, even the way they look is part of that party. Oh my God, they look so creepy and weird and sleazy because they're the party I don't support. And that is pure motivated reasoning. That's it. And I often think, I don't like Trump's politics. I think not only just his politics, just his way of acting and stuff like that. I think
I will support that if I was given the capacity. I think that he is actually clinically stupid. Like he has
But I just wanted to say, I have to re-examine my beliefs and think, am I thinking that because I don't agree with him? Am I thinking his behavior and his expressions are bad because I don't agree with his politics? So that's something you always have to do. You have to re-examine stuff based on your preconceived ideas and your own motivated reasoning. So I suppose that's how we'll finish. Always re-examine stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based
Always
on
do that.
some kind of external logic.
But based on certain criteria, he's stupid. Sorry.
That's the voice from authority there.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for
listening to Quackcast number 704.
Don't take our word for it. Check everything.